Start with some multiplication problems. Take a look at number 5 with me. We have 3h equals 15. Now before we actually solve this problem, I want to make sure that you understand how they've written out this equation, okay? We have 3 and h right next to each other. Anytime that they put a number and a letter right next to each other, it means multiplication, okay? And if you need to make a note of that on your paper, so that way you don't forget, I suggest doing so. Okay, this means multiplication. Another thing that I want to point out is anytime that I am writing multiplication for these problems, so if I wanted to say 4 times 9, I'm going to use a method, instead of the x for multiplication, I go ahead and put a dot in the middle. Now the reason why I don't use the multiplication x is because sometimes x's are variable, and then it gets confusing. Is it an x? Is it multiplication? What does she actually mean? So, from here on out, I will be using the dot in the middle to mean my multiplication, okay? So, taking a look at this is a multiplication problem. I'm trying to figure out 3 times what number is going to equal 15, okay? Now, some of us can do this in our heads, which is great. But I'm going to show you the steps to find the answer, so that way when we get into harder problems, you'll know what to do. So I draw my line through the equal sign. This is 3 times h, okay? The opposite of multiplication is division, and most of us have done this before, or done multiplying and dividing before, so we know that they are opposites. So instead of multiplying by 3, to cancel it out, I am going to divide by 3. Now, I always write my division as a fraction, okay? So, this fraction over 3 just means divide by 3. Same thing. Now remember, whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. So, divide by 3. Over here, 3 divided by 3 is actually 1. Now, to make sure that you understand why 1 is okay instead of 0, okay, think about 1 times 5. 1 times 5 is still 5. If I take 1 times 72, my answer is 72. If I take 1 times 361, my answer is 361. So 1 times anything is just that number. Same thing goes with a letter. If I take 1, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I multiply it by h, I'm left with just h. It works the same way. 1 times h is h, okay? So, for adding and subtracting, we want the numbers to cancel to be 0, but when we're multiplying and dividing, we want them to cancel to be 1, because 1 times the letter is just the letter that we wanted. Now, over on the right side, when I divide 15 divided by 3, I get 5. So my answer here is h equals 5. And again, we can check this very quickly. Put 5 in for h up here. 3 times 5 is 15. I got the answer. My two sides are equal. Number 6. We have 7m equals 42. Again, this is a multiplication problem. We know that because the letter and the number are right next to each other. So to solve this, if this is multiply, the opposite is divide. I'm going to divide both sides by 7. I get m equals, because my 7's cancel to be 1, 1 times m is just m, equals 42 divided by 7 is 6. So m equals 6 is our solution. And we can check that. Put 6 in for m. 7 times 6 is 42. So we are correct. Let's take a look at number 7. 7 looks a little bit different. F over 5 equals 10. I want to solve for F. Now this one, I have a lot of students that are a little antsy about these because it's a fraction. I don't know how to do fractions. It's very simple. That fraction bar, just like my fraction bars, they mean divide. So this is not f over 5. You don't have to try to think of it that way as f as a fifth. All right, what you can think of as f divided by 5. okay? And then we just do the opposite from there. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So instead of dividing by 5 on both sides, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. Multiplying by 5 and dividing by 5, those are opposites, so they cancel. All right? F is left by itself, because remember 1 times F is just F. And over here, 10 times 5 is 50. So F equals 50 is our solution. Let's take a look at number 8. For number 8, we have V over 9 equals 8. Draw our line. Again, that fraction bar means division. This is V divided by 9. So the opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. My 9's cancel. I get V equals 8 times 9 is 72. And we can check that very quickly. Just put 72 in for V. 72 divided by 9 is 8. So we have the correct answer. At this point, there are 4 more problems at the bottom of your video guide. Go ahead and pause the video. Do those 4 problems, come back, I will put the answers up on the board. For the first one, we have 4x equals 32. Your answer should be x equals 8. For the next one, we have k over 6 equals 2. Your answer should be k equals 12. Next, we have 8v equals 24. Your answer should be v equals 3. And last, we have m over 7 equals 11. Your answer should be m equals 77. And that's the end of our lesson on one-step equations.